Welcome back to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK, and today I'm sharing with you how to crochet the left V-neck panel and the armhole shaping for the cable and crossed cardigan. Now there are two different neck options available for this pattern. There is this V-neck option that you work one panel with your left side and one panel with your right side, and there is also a square neck version as well. In the description box you'll find a link to the playlist so you can have a look to see which neckline you prefer. But your panel up to this point should be the same from the bottom to the top to meet your armhole of your front of your back panel. Now, as you can see, I've already fastened off just to confuse you, and I have turned my work so that I have the right side of my project facing me. So I have both my tails on this side of my project. So make sure you've done that last row of single crochets. So I've got both my tails on this side of my project, which means that the right side of the project is facing me and the pretty side of the stitches are facing me. Now, the reason there is a left and a right side panel is simply because we want the right side of our project facing, which on both panels of our cardigan, because they are going to meet, and they'll look a bit odd if you've got wrong side on one side and right side on the other. So fasten off, because we're going to rejoin our yarn with our tail on this side of our project, and to do that rejoining we are simply going to be joining in a different stitch, and that will leave out the armhole shaping that we need to make. So extra small and small are going to be joining in the 9th stitch in from their tail. So medium, large, extra large and 2XL are going to be joining in the 13th stitch along. And then 3, 4 and 5XL are all going to be joining in their 17th stitch along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that is for extra small and small. 10, 11, 12 and 13. I'll place my hook in there because that's where I'm rejoining. And that is for medium, large, extra large and 2XL. And then the 17th stitch along, continue counting. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That will be for 3, 4 and 5XL. We're just going to rejoin our yarn by placing our yarn over the hook, tail at the back, and just bring that through. And then we are going to make a chain of 3. Now that chain of 3 counts as our first double crochet of our row, and we are going to make our decreases on the opposite end from our shoulder. So this is our shoulder now, believe it or not. So we're going to make our first decrease all the way over there. So we start, of course, with that counting as our chain 3. We skip the next stitch and we're working 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 as normal. So that's 1, 2 and 3. We of course work back into that skip stitch to create that cable. I don't know why I can't make these. There we go. We are going to continue to work our cable stitch across until we have 5 stitches remaining. So basically stop before your last cable stitch. So continue to work across, working your cable stitch, and then when you have 5 stitches remaining, I'll meet you there to work our decrease cable stitch. Now this stitch is only used in the V-neck version. So if you're not making a V-neck, you need to go and watch the other video for the square neck panel. I'll be with you shortly once you've worked across to those last 5 stitches. So once you have just 5 stitches remaining, we are going to work a decrease cable stitch, and that will actually reduce our stitch count by 1. So we begin our cable as normal. We skip the next stitch, working a double crochet into the next, and then we're going to work a double crochet 2 together to reduce that stitch count inside the cable. So we yarn over, insert our hook into the next, yarn over, bring our loop up, yarn over, pull through 2. We yarn over and insert into the next stitch along, yarn over, bring up a 4th loop. This time we're yarning over, just pulling through those first 2, and you should have 3 loops remaining. We're yarning over, pulling through all 3 loops, and that brings those 2 stitches into 1. We then work our cable stitch back into that skip stitch, and complete that stitch as normal. And although the cable looks the same as all the others, we've actually reduced our stitch count by 1. We then work our final double crochet into that last stitch. So it doesn't look any different right now, but we've already decreased, and that will start the V section of our panel. So at the end of row 1, we'll have two double crochets, 1 at each end. Each size will have 1 decreased cable just before the end of the row. Extra small will have 5 cables, small and a medium will have 6, large will have 7 cable stitches, extra large will have 8, 2 and 3XL will have 9 cable stitches, 4XL will have 10, and a 5XL will have 11 cable stitches. Going into row 2, we begin with a chain of 1. We're going to turn our work, and we're working 1 single crochet into the same as our chain 1. We are then going to work a single crochet 2 together across the next 2 stitches. So we insert the hook, bring our loop up, insert into the next stitch, yarn over to bring up a 3rd loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that reduces our stitch count again by 1. We're then going to work 1 single crochet into each of the stitches remaining across to the end of the row. So continue across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 2. Just working my final single crochet into the top of that beginning chain 3 where we rejoined. And can we see a V-neck starting? Not really, but I promise you it is. So at the end of row 2, we've decreased our stitch count by 1 overall again. So you should now have 24 single crochets for an extra small, 28 for a small and a medium, 32 for a large, 36 for an extra large, 40 for a 2 and a 3XL, 44 for your 4XL, 48 for your 5XL. Going into row 3, we're going to make a turning chain of 3. And this row is worked completely as normal in the fact that we just work our double crochet, our cross double crochet stitches. So we skip that stitch under our chain 3, skip the next, working a double crochet into the next, before crossing back to work into that unworked stitch to create our cross double crochet. We're going to repeat our cross double crochet all the way across, and then in that last remaining stitch, we're going to work a double crochet. So continue across, and I will meet you at the end of row 3. I'm just working my final double crochet into that last stitch, and we work no decreases in this row. So our stitch count for row 3, we should of course have 1 double crochet at each end, and then extra small will have 11 cross double crochets, small and medium will have 13, large will have 15, extra large will have 17, 2 and 3XL will have 19, 4XL will have 21, and 5XL will have 23. Going into row 4, we're going to be decreasing again in row 4. So we make our turning chain of 1. We are then going to work a single crochet into the same as our chain 1, and then we're going to work a decrease, so a single crochet 2 together into the next. So we insert, yarn over, bring a loop up, insert into the next, bring up a 3rd loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. We're then going to repeat that by working a single crochet into the next before working our decrease across the next 2 stitches again. So we insert, bring our loop up, insert into the next, bring up a 3rd loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and now you can start to see our V-neck. For the remainder of row 4, we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch across to the end of the row. So continue across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 4. So at the end of row 4, we will have decreased by 2 more stitches, and our stitch count will be 22 single crochets for an extra small, 26 for a small and a medium, 30 for a large, 34 for an extra large, 38 for a 2 and a 3XL, 42 for a 4XL, and 46 for a 5XL. Going into row 5, we're going to start with our turning chain of 3, and we're working our decrease cable row again. So we start by working our normal cable stitch all the way along until we have just 5 stitches remaining. We've done our turning chain of 3, skipped 1 and worked our cable stitch, remembering to work back into that stitch, skipped stitch. And we're going to continue to repeat the cable stitch all the way across until we have just 5 stitches remaining, and I will meet you there. So when you have just 5 stitches remaining, we're going to be working that decrease cable stitch again. So we're starting our cable stitch as normal by skipping that first stitch and working a double crochet into the next. We then work a double crochet 2 together to reduce that stitch count by 1. So we yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through 2. We yarn over, insert into the next stitch, bring that loop up so we have 4 loops on our hook. We yarn over, pull through 2, and then we yarn over to pull through the remaining 3 loops. And then we work back into that skip stitch as normal, kind of encapsulating those stitches in our cable. We end row 5 working a double crochet into that last stitch. It's such a gentle decrease that until you lay it flat, it's hard to see that your V-stitch, that your V-neck is even coming together, but you can already start to see a way, when you look at, especially when you look at that straight line, that that V-neck is already coming in. From here, we're going to be working a number of repeats based on the size that we are making to get you up to the height that you need to create your V-neck. So an extra small and a small is going to be repeating rows 2 to 5 a further 2 times. For a medium, a large, an extra large, 2X and 3XL, you're going to be repeating rows 2 to 5 a further 3 times. For a 4XL, you're going to be repeating rows 2 to 5 a further 4 times. For a 5XL, you're going to be repeating rows 2 to 5 a further 6 times. Continue on and I will meet you for the final row. So once you have worked all of those repeats and you have pretty much all of your rows done, we all need to work the same last final rows. So it's going to be row 14 for your extra small and small, row 18 for your medium, large, extra large, 2 and 3XL, row 22 for your 4XL, and row 26 for your 5XL. We're simply going to be repeating row 2, so we start with that chain of 1. We then work a single crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1, followed by a single crochet 2 together, and then work a single crochet into each stitch across to the end of the row. Continue across and I'll meet you at the end of this repeat of row 2. Working my final single crochet into the top of my chain 3. And your stitch count at the end of this row for an extra small will be 12, a small will have 16, a medium will have 12, large will have 16, extra large will have 20, and then sizes 2 up to 5XL will have 24 single crochets. So the next row, we're going to be repeating row 3 once again. So we start with that turning chain of 3. And we're just going to repeat our row of cross double crochets as normal. This obviously counts as our first double crochet, and then we're just working our cross double crochets across as normal. So continue across and I'll see you at the end of this row. It's working my final cross double crochet, and then we've just got to work that final double crochet into the top of our last stitch. So our final row is very simply not a repeat of any row for this section. We're simply going to make a turning chain of 1, and then we are working 1 single crochet into the same as our chain 1 and 1 single crochet into each stitch across. So once you have finished that final row of single crochets, you will have finished your V-neck section of your front panel, and you'll be ready to fasten off and continue on to go and block your panels, ready to finish off your right panel, and then we'll be ready to join. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in the next video.